Okay. Hi, everyone. Hi, Kate. Welcome to our subsequent webinar, What Can You Achieve with a Headless LMS? Kate, long time no see. How are you keeping?
I'm fine, thanks. And you?
Not bad, not bad. Thank you. For those of you who haven't got a chance to meet me yet, my name is Piotr, or Peter. You can call me equally fine. And I'm an LMS evangelist, EdTech analyst, IT consultant, and STEAM trainer. Could you tell us a bit something more about yourself, Kasia?
Sure. I have around 13, 14 years of experience in e-learning, working both as instructional designer, team leader, and project manager. I visit conferences. I regularly publish on e-learning industry, where I was awarded top 5 guest authors 3 times now. And well, I'm product owner of Worms.
That's impressive. That's something. Like, could there be something else? Could there be something more? I don't think so. Kate, today we're going to talk about the advantages of a headless LMS solution. Quick and cost-effective headless LMS implementation and access to e-learning basically from any device possible are just a start. We'll get there today, okay? Let's explore together the possibilities of headless architecture, shall we? But first things first, Kate, I have a basic preliminary question. What is headless LMS? What is headless?
Okay. Headless technology means basically that the front end or the visual layer of software is separated from backend, which is the code. Usually, any app, program, or software has the visual and content layers connected. They create one. In Headless,
Okay.
however, these two are separated and they communicate via API. This basically means that when you have, let's say, a headless e-commerce shop, you can create any front end that you like, meaning any looks that you want your shop to have, then connect it to the backend. And headless technology also allows, in the case of e-commerce shops, for multi-channel distribution. This means that using just this one backend or admin panel, you can control both online sales and those in stationary shops. Can you hear me? Is everything right with the connection? Okay, Peter froze. So let me continue with the topic. I did mention how Headless is present in e-commerce sector. And now maybe let's go to Headless LMS solutions. So I already mentioned that when you have a headless solution, when you use headless technology, you can have any look that you want. You have separated front end and back end. You can use multi-channel distribution. The question is how the technology looks like when we move it to e-learning sector. And well, I have to say that in my opinion, it looks very, very well and very promising. And let me explain why. So I did mention the customizable look. And now, okay, I know there are plenty of solutions on the market that allow customizing how the platform looks. We often call these types of platform white label ones, where you can simply insert your logo of your company, where you can maybe change some colors or move some elements around. There are also many solutions, many LMS solutions, allowing you to choose a template that will define how your platform looks like. There will be many solutions also allowing you, for example, to buy skins. This is, for example, the case with Moodle platform. So Moodle looks, well, the way it looks. We all know how. And there are many companies functioning and earning quite a lot of money on preparing skins. So, welcome back, Peter. I was just talking about headless LMS solutions in the e-learning market and covered the front-end advantages. But I do feel that when we talk about headless technology, we concentrate too much on just the front end, and headless can be much more. For example, because the front end and the back end are separated, the surface for attack for hackers is much smaller. Thus, it's much more difficult for hackers to steal the data, to break into the system. So headless solutions are much safer. They are or should be relatively new, which should mean that the code in itself is rather light and consists only of essential elements, which makes the platform fast. So basically, the looks, multiple front ends, safe, quick, light architecture. I don't know if you can wish for more. What do you say, Peter?
Okay, thank you. And by the way, sorry, apologies for technical problems. I had internet issues, but it's solved now. So once again, apologies. I'm back. I'm here. I'm with you. Thank you, Kate, for this intro on headless architecture. And you just pointed out a few important factors, important advantages, I would say, of this kind of solution. And today, our plan is to give you more such examples, more such advantages, point out all the pluses of such a solution. So let's continue. Thank you, Kate. And apologies once again for these small technical issues. I would like to ask you some questions, Kate, because we know that headless. What is headless? We know, obviously, but very often when I talk to people interested in e-learning as a whole, in this whole industry, they very often have very nice questions, very on-point questions, and very interesting and sometimes even intriguing questions. For example, what about this front and back end? If you told us, Piotr, that the core of an headless LMS solution that we're talking about, we were discussing a particular case, is just a backend. So what if the core is the backend? So what's happening with the front end? What's happening with the head? Where is the head? Can I see it? And very often they point out the question, like they ask this question, basically, how can this technology be visible for users if it's just the backend? What's the story with this headless? Where is the head? So what could you answer? What could you tell such people very interested in this technical issues, in this type of architecture? So what's the story with the head? Where's the head? Can we see it?
Where's the head? It's actually, or it can be somewhere completely else, because the front and the back end are separated, then it can be placed on totally different servers, hence higher security level. But it has to be there if we want to use the system. So front end is, well, of course, the looks of the platform, but it's the buttons, and not just the image of the buttons, but the clickable ones, and so graphic connected with bits of code. So it can be anywhere we want. It can be created in any technology that we want, and the front end will be communicating with the code, with backend, via API. I would compare it to, well, let's say our brains are two hemispheres that are also separate, but kind of have communication channels to interact with each other. That's the same mechanism.
That's for me. It's like so interesting and so intriguing at the same time that I could like keep on talking about it for hours. But I know we have a limited time slot. So how about this question? I have a nice story. Once I had this possible customers, possible clients, but I don't know. Maybe they were just e-learning experts, and we had this discussion about not only being able to customize the looks, but is it also possible to customize the backend, the core, the API? And it was a very, very good question, because most of people I meet, most of people I talk to, they know about possible front-end customizations. But what about is it possible even to customize the backend?
This is a very good and a very important question. And I also often meet with many clients who want to customize or at least slightly change the backend or the functionalities of LMS solutions. And in case of monolith solutions where front-end and backend are one huge block, it is very difficult to perform. With headless technology, we have definitely a bigger field for that. And well, there are different headless LMS providers. Each one of them has slightly different architecture, but in general, headless solutions can be customized in two ways. One will be, for example, via integrations, because when we have front end and backend communicating per API, there is no problem for the backend to communicate the same way with basically any other system. That gives us basically limitless integration possibilities, and this allows us to broaden the features, and in general, we have more options that way. And another way to do that is, for example, with Whelms, simply changing the backend. In case of backend of Whelms, we can talk about building it from scratch using building blocks or small pieces of pre-written code that you can match any way you want to create a custom solution.
And what you said about this possible customizations and integrations, very often I'm being asked, Kate, I don't know how about you, but I'm being asked frequently about one concrete thing. For example, is it even possible to have a solution that will be displayed on something more than laptop, smartphone, desktop, obviously? Is it even possible? Because people are so like they are so used to these three particular types of devices I enumerated that they have no idea that there could be possibly something more.
Well, this is this multi-channel distribution that I talked about in case of e-commerce and moving it to e-learning industry. So some LMS solutions do have problem with responsiveness, with full responsiveness and giving equally great experience on smartphones and tablets and computers. But with headless LMS, you can make an additional step, and you can use basically you can use headless technology from any device you want, under condition that it has, for example, a touch screen. So this opens us to.
A smartwatch. I have a smartwatch. Can I do e-learning on my smartwatch?
So technologically speaking, yes, you can. The tricky part is how you can use it to make it useful, because obviously you won't be able to read longer text on your smartwatch. But I could imagine using smartwatch for vocabulary revision, like sending you word of the day or a phrase of the day, or very simple flashcard based exercise. Also, smartwatch would be great for listening to audio recordings. So I'd say
Okay.
that technologically speaking, you can connect headless LMS with literally any device. So that can be smartwatch, that can be VR goggles, or my personal favorite, handheld terminals using logistics. Also, you could connect headless LMS to SmartTV, and then, for example, watch video courses with your life partner on a couch eating popcorn.
Would it that be something? Yeah. I
Could be
imagine that
nice.
right now. Could be nice. Could be nice. It's like this idea of doing e-learning everywhere, anytime, on anything, basically.
Yes, it also kind of destroys this differential, kind of changes the line between work and
Mhm.
private life, because on one hand, at work we use skills that we can always also need in private life, and the other way around. For example, Excel course or foreign language,
Yeah.
that's something we can use both for work and outside of it. And it could also give us some ideas on how we could change or shape the future of training in many companies. Because if we, on one hand, if we train for not only professional skills but also for private ones, maybe we could also take the learning outside, at least to a part. And I don't think it's actually a very new idea, because this is something that's happening already with foreign language courses. Many companies already ask their employees to kind of chip in with the payments for the courses. And often these classes take place outside of the working hours. So why not take it a step further and watch a film in English on your smart TV at home?
Okay. Okay. Nice. By the way, Kate, I have one question from
Mhm.
Tom, who is our guest. He's today with us. Hi, Tom. Please tell me, what does the Headless give me as a business? What do I actually gain? With what is it? What with what is such LMS better than other LMSs?
I love the question. I just like to point out that to answer this question, you have to basically watch our full webinar, because the issue is very complex and it all depends on the business context that you are set in. So, if you could give us some more information. Uh, for a start, just to give you a couple of examples to inspire maybe your further questions. When you have a headless LMS, you don't only have to train your employees via computer or smartphone. You can use handheld devices and handheld terminals, and these are devices that are broadly used in logistics. So if you imagine, for example, all these huge warehouses, storage houses, they're all full of shelves with products, and there are loads of people running around having these handheld terminals. So these people, for example, on an everyday basis have an abridged access to e-learning courses, or none at all, actually. But with the connection with Headless LMS, they could use these terminals to, okay, if not do the full training, then at least have some on-the-job help, or to do some, for example, review. We at Homes, for example, have only just completed preparing our first course for handheld terminal recently. So
Yes.
this is one
Mhm.
example, right, with the different contexts. So we talk a lot about equality at workplace, but it's usually about, for example, gender or age. It's rarely, for example, it's rarely about the type of work that we do, and let's be honest, physical employees, physical workers or blue-collar workers don't have the same training possibilities as we do. The nature of their work is different. For them to be trained, they need to be taken out of their jobs. They require a trainer, so it's just this one chance to train them. If not, then the whole training needs to be repeated. There's a lot of rescheduling and planning. So, so here we're talking, for example, about making employees equal in case of learning opportunities. Or, for example, with headless LMS with customizable backend. Some time ago, I talked to a client who already has an app. I think it's if I remember correctly, that was on-site class management app. And the client wanted to add a module where students would be able to find additional training materials that they could do asynchronically. And again, Headless is a great solution for that, because Headless is a bit like chameleon. So it can change the looks and it can integrate with anything. So using Headless LMS, the client could simply add this module and make it in a seamless way. So basically, from the point of end user, a new button appeared saying go to courses, and the full LMS looked exactly like the rest of the app. So the end user had no idea that they are actually leaving the app. So that's another use case. And I think last but not least, with Headless LMS, you can connect many different front ends to one backend, and this means that the platform can look in a different way to different groups of end users, but it can be steered through the same admin panel. So possible use cases for that could be, for example, you have one platform, or for example, you sell courses and you have some courses for very young learners, and you have more advanced courses for adults. So for adults, you have a different front end, for example, with signs and buttons and with a lot of text. And you can also prepare a separate front end only with pictures for children who are, for example, can't yet read very well. And offer the same courses for one platform and maybe sell them. Okay, let me read the question quickly.
Yes, because Tom came back with another question, another case, another thing. He has practically he has two HR departments for two companies, and they need to train like different separate like teams, separate groups of of workers, of employees, as they are two separate entities. Will headless LMS be a helpful solution in such a case?
Yes. So again, Tom, I would need to learn a bit more about your goals, business goals, training needs, and so on. So, it's not about what you have; it's about what you want to achieve. But just to give you like an extra idea, if you have two different companies, two different entities, you can create a separate front end for each of them, and then offer the same training or steal the training process from one place, from one HR department, and offer them in a customized front-end look, which will give the impression to the employees that they are working only on dedicated content. Because what Headless can do is look differently for different groups of end users. It's like chameleon, but it could also but an additional thing is that if you use Headless file format for the training material, also the training materials will adjust to the front end. So that means both a device but also the looks. We at Whelms kind of use a slightly changed by us internally 85p format, and by using it to create a learning exercise once only. And then when you view it from different types of front ends, so for different users, you can see that the font, or for example, the button color changes accordingly to the front end. So this is kind of another idea for the use.
Thank you, Kate, and thank you, Tom, for these two questions.
Please
Let's-
give us more questions. We are happy
yeah,
to
yeah,
answer.
yeah. Anytime. Please do ask questions. You mentioned this H5P based format. It sounds interesting, and for what I know, H5P is also it's an open source idea, an open source type of interactive exercises. What's so special? What's so unique about H5Ps? How would you tackle this kind of question?
Okay, there are a couple of very nice things about H5P. So the first one being that, as you mentioned, it's an open source, and as it's open source, anyone can take it and slightly change it. And that's what we've done. We took H5P, which is not really headless in itself, but we were able to change it and separate the visual and content layers. So the H5P that we use at Walms is actually headless. But also, what can I say about H5P? It's very easy to prepare. So usually when you work with authoring tools for e-learning like Adobe Captivate or Articulate Storyline, my personal favorite, I really miss it, then you really need a bit of training. And depending on how advanced materials you want to create, you need to spend relatively a considerable amount of time on learning how to do it and then modifying the exercise. With H5P, it's much more simple. All you have to do is to fill in a template, and then the exercise will be up and running, basically. Also, you can either do it on H5P site, so that's, I think, h5p.org. That's where you can prepare the exercises and download them and then upload to a platform. Or, for example, in the case of our platform, you have an inbuilt editor. So all you have to do is enter the admin panel, create a new course, and in the new course menu, create H5P exercises. And such an exercise can simply then jump into a repository from which it can be added to many different courses. So this means you can create the training, not really the full training, but one activity once and then reuse it. And now that I think about Articulate or SCORM in general, what's also fun is that when you have this H5P file in repository, all you have to do is change one element and the updated version will be visible in all the courses that use the same activity. I do remember situations in some of the corporations I was working for where there was a tiny mistake in a course that was recently published, like really small, let's say 1 or 2 sentences, but these 2 sentences were kind of changing a very crucial information for the course. So we had to quickly stop the training, remove the file, change it in the source file, republish, and then depending on the LMS platform, the whole progress could be lost for those people who already started it. So let's say that 500 people already started working with the course. They were working with it like, for half an hour, then that means 250 working hours lost, not to mention motivation, because these people had to start training from scratch.
And that is a strong argument, in my opinion. This situation, this case you mentioned, Kate, that people already started, hundreds of people already started the course. Somebody noticed a mistake, and what now? Yeah. What a waste of time, what a waste of workforce, what a waste of money, you could say. And at the same time, there are solutions. There is at least one solution that has it covered, we could say. And sounds like another strong argument for me in favor of a headless solution. headless architecture,
And
headless technology.
H5P in this case, actually.
H5P, yes, H5P connected with headless technology. As you mentioned, you said something about this inbuilt editor for H5Ps. So it's like, as I understood, it's an inbuilt mechanism that that we can use this nice interactive H5P exercises that you described. Thank you, Kate, and thank you, Tom, once again for coming back with this question. And to sum up, we have like half an hour of this webinar done so far. To sum up partially, you've mentioned, Kate, like that we can in this headless LMS solution, we can have customizable front end or multiple front ends, customizable multiple front ends. We can have customizable backend. We can have an access to courses, to training materials on basically any type of device with, as I heard, your favorite ones, HATs, handheld terminals, or smartwatches or smart TV. That could be my favorite types of device to access e-learning from. You mentioned that it's also a strong argument in favor of a headless architecture. This case about correcting a mistake in already started course for many people, for many users, without a loss, without making them like start from scratch again and again. And is there anything else, Kate? Is because you've pointed out several strong arguments, but do you have something more, something for the dessert, maybe?
Well, usually my dessert is handheld terminals. This is my personal favorite. I was so happy about completing the POC recently. But one thing that I think I would like to point to, one thing that I already described in one of my articles for e-learning industry, is that there is no one definition for a headless LMS that will be kind of binding for all the solutions. So this basically means that everyone can say they offer headless LMS, but kind of the platform hidden behind it may work in a completely different way. There is, for example, one very famous platform that is that calls itself headless, and it is headless in a very literal way, meaning it has no front end. It offers you to kind of embed the view of the platform to any website that you may have. But for example, its architecture is very old. It's still monolith in this sense. So the code is heavy, vast, and if there is, for example, a bug, then, well, there will be problems in the whole system. However, if we have a look at headless solutions that have only appeared recently, they have a totally different architecture, a totally different weight of the code. They are fast because of the light code. They are safe. So a lot depends on the provider, and I think kind of if you consider buying a headless LMS, do have a close look at different solutions and check your options, because, well, all the platforms will allow you to change front end in this way or another. Some will simply just pretend to be headless while just being white label. Some will actually offer you a headless LMS, meaning that you create front end from scratch, and that means not only looks but also the whole philosophy of the platform, all the user paths. Not all the platforms will allow you to integrate with everything because, well, let's be honest, if you want to scale your product, the LMS that you're selling, you need kind of off-the-shelf product, and off-the-shelf products will have off-the-shelf integrations. So there will be already a list of systems that you can integrate with, and there will be a list of actions that you can perform within these integrations. So Worms, for example, as Headless offered by a software house, can be integrated with literally anything, and every integration can be different, even with the same system. So let's say that system integrations work similarly to interhuman communication. So you need another person to talk to. The other person also has to be willing to talk to us as well. So it has to be willing to exchange information. It needs to be open for this integration, for the talk. And kind of the difference with integrations is that, how to put it, communication between computers, between systems, looks a bit like diplomatic relationships. So we can only talk about topics that were earlier kind of prepared, and only those that are allowed. So all the communication the whole communication that is happening needs to be planned in advance and cannot really be changed after the integration is completed.
What you said, what you mentioned now, sounds like legal aspects of such possible integrations, because as we know, there are headless solutions that has this advantage that they can be truly integrated with practically everything that is existing, any application, any front end already existing, any website, and so on. But we should never forget about legal aspects, because technically speaking, we can be integrated with anything. But as you said, with this similarity, this metaphor about diplomatic protocol, we should always ask the other side. Yes. Do you want to be integrated with us?
I'm not sure it's actually. I'm not sure I would call it legal aspect, because I mean, we're not really talking about hacking. We're talking about providing the LMS provider with API so that we can simply connect. And it's actually quite interesting how integration is allowed, especially in case of bigger systems, because these huge systems are available on the market that everyone wants to integrate with, and often ask you to first become their partner, so formal partner, which often means paying a certain amount of money, undergoing careful screening, because before they actually give you access to their API.
Okay, thanks, Kate. Tom came back with a third question, and I think you will like it. What is one unique feature of Worms that is worth buying it for?
Just one? Oh wow! So this part about just one unique feature, this is the tricky one. I would say it's okay. That's something that's most important for me. This is this multi-channel distribution, and it's not just about serving 3 devices like other platforms, or 5. That's actually a funny part. I once saw an advertisement of an LMS platform allowing you to use 5 devices. However, it was about using your phone like this and horizontally. So those are 2 devices. Same with tablets. That's why you got 5. But the true multi-channel distribution of educational content. This means that you can use interchangeably different types of devices for different content. So you can, for example, start doing your course on a laptop, then you have to go to work. So you close your computer and maybe during walk, start your smartwatch and listen to some audio that is part of the course. Then you go to your office, need a break, and you turn on SmartTV and continue watching there some kind of cool video, also a part of the same course. So it's not just about serving different devices. It's this unique possibility of freely switching between them. So that's what's most worth for me. And actually, now that I think about it, if we take another step, I would risk saying that in the near future, headless LMS solutions could have a potential to maybe at least slightly compete with metaverse, because what we do with metaverse, we create another world there, enter it, and prepare educational materials, right? So we enter a virtual world to separate ourselves from distractions and to learn. But instead of that, we can use headless LMS to surround ourselves with the same learning material on every step of our way. So we have this kind of internal joke in our company that you can use our whelms on an intelligent fridge, and you actually can, right? So you can imagine having a screen where you open your fridge, you have a look at what's inside, you see just an apple and a banana, so we can move to whelms and see how nutrition these two are, what you can cook from them, and so on. So we can do that. You can then go to, after food, you can go to the bathroom, brush your teeth, and maybe behind the mirror have a hidden screen, or you can continue doing another course or watch an educational video. So I know that this is maybe just slightly far-fetched, but it is also a possibility that I'm looking forward to.
Thanks, Tom, and thanks, Kate. And what would you say about microservices? Because that's the question, partly asked by my youngest children. They ask me to bring some Lego bricks because they know already what I'm gonna do and what I'm gonna ask. But would that be also a nice answer in regards to Tom's question, to say that another strong argument, another huge argument in favor of a headless solution is microservices that can be understood as building with blocks. We have some microservices and we build our LMS solution from scratch using building blocks. And this is, you're laughing, but it's a mock-up of a headless LMS, I've made.
Yeah, I'm laughing because yesterday my son prepared this huge rifle also from Duplo blocks. But yeah, you're right. So I'm kind of futurologist, so I enjoy thinking about metaverse competition, handheld terminals, but microservices, which you mentioned, is kind of unique trait for which many companies would be willing to buy headless LMS. And that's because, as you said, a microservice is kind of like a mini building block from which you can build their solution. A microservice represents, let's say, one function, one action, one feature of an LMS. And it's a tiny app, tiny software piece in itself. So on one hand, having a system built of these tiny blocks means that your system is, again, safer. But it also means that if there's a bug in just one of them, the rest of the system should be working without any visible disturbances. So you can contact our support. They will concentrate on this one error, and the rest of the system can continue operating. Whereas with these monolith systems, where there is just this one huge chunk of code, when error appears, then all the other elements and features are affected.
And this is evidently like a so strong argument that I'm already buying worms for my company. This what you said, Kate, that you don't have to like update or fix the whole system, the whole ecosystem, that you only focus on this one particular microservice to fix the bug. That's an advantage. Hell, it is. One more thing, Kate, and one more thing to our guests. I was asked like yesterday about gamification. Piotr, can you like propose a gamification mechanism for our future platform? And I said, yes, it's possible. But I know, Kate, that you are a huge fan of gamification, like as the whole idea of this engaging people, making them want to learn more and more, be together, exchange ideas, exchange knowledge. And I know that you like this topic, this particular topic of gamification is something that you have like read about this topic a lot. You have articles on this case, and you know even what Bartle's taxonomy is. And maybe it could be like something worthwhile to tell our people listening, watching us, about this gamification and Bartle taxonomy.
Okay. Well, long question. So let me start maybe with the very beginning, which was about adding gamification to Whelms. I guess that was the
Yes.
first question. So
Yes.
yep. So as we mentioned already a couple of times, Whelms's backend or the features can be built from scratch. So you can choose any features that you want, pay only for them, and have the perfect LMS solution. And obviously, gamification could be an additional piece, another building block that we could add. We do prefer to create gamification system for every client separately because everyone has different needs, but it's definitely possible. I mean, Worms is our product built in-house, so we know it inside out, and we can prepare basically anything. We can basically fulfill any wish concerning gamification, both on the back end, so feature-wise, but also on the front end. So the gamification can have any theme that we can think of. But about gamification, as kind of retired instructional designer, I do try to raise awareness that in general, there is no one universal thing appealing to everyone, and the gamification is no exception. You mentioned Bartle's taxonomy. So Bartle's taxonomy is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, research on gamers playing computer games. Well, the research is oldest, hence maybe slightly outdated. It was extended, it was revised, but the kind of main point of Bartle's taxonomy is that it differentiates four basic types of players. That's killers, achievers, explorers, and socializers. They do go into subgroups, but let's not concentrate on that. And each of these players has different characteristic and thus prefers different types of games. So killers will want not only to win, but to, defeat others. They do power gaming. They want to overwhelm others. They like chaos and adrenaline. And they want to be the best, obviously. achievers also want to win, but they are more interested in mastering something. They enjoy collecting things, unique equipment, and they will be happy to get a prize or a piece of equipment that is special, even if it's just kind of cosmetic change and not a practical one. Explorers are the ones who like to imagine that they are part of the game. They enjoy exploring new areas, new places, and because they like to take their time, they really resent any time limitations. And last but not least, socializers. For them, the game in question is, just a pretext to get to interact with others, to meet other people. Though what's interesting, they don't have to really interact with people. So if you have a very well created AI behind the characters, that will be more than enough for them. Now, there are just now when we talk about gamification in e-learning, you can see that the most common gamification mechanisms used are badges, points, rank or score tables, and well, less frequently, let's say, storytelling and what was there? And challenges. So when we talk about the gamers, the gamer types, and these, we can see that badges, I think, the core of gamification right now, unfortunately, the badges, collecting badges, that will be something interesting for achievers who want to get the full set, and maybe for killers, this will be a sign of them winning, collecting everything. We have score tables or ranking tables. They are for killers only, and they can be very demotivating if the game is set in a way making kind of losing people unable to gain additional points. So if the full mechanism is if the mechanism is constructed in a way making you unable to change your place after some time, then it won't be really motivating for anyone, because once you lost the first place, there's no point in trying. So badges, ranking tables, gathering points, again, that's something for achievers, because, well, these points are usually used for something, right? So it's either for going to a higher level or visualizing a progress bar. Again, progress bars may be something for achievers, for killers, but there's almost nothing for socializers. And socializers actually I think that there are about 80% of socializers among us. So, most of the most popular gamification mechanisms are there just, fill the place, give you a reason to boast about having a gamification system, but they don't really cater for the educational needs. Now, you might not really be able to see it looking just at an engagement level, for example, because there are so many factors influencing educational process. So while gamification system like badges might not work, people still might be engaged in the course because they find the content relevant, or simply because you are such a great teacher. But, well, gamification system won't help. So just to sum up, because I think I kind of slightly diverged from the main topic, you have to be very careful when choosing gamification mechanisms, because not all of them cater for the needs of all the employees. And the worst thing you can do is choose a very weak topic or theme for the visualization, because your end users will either like it or not. So, for example, if you choose unicorns and most of your employees prefer no submarines, yeah, they won't be really motivated, and you have just wasted your money.
Some can love it, some can hate it. Yes. By the way, I'm a socializer myself, definitely. And one more thing. Yes, reports. Another frequently asked question, Kate. What about reports? What about analytics inside the platform, the headless platform? Uh, do you have it? People ask me very frequently, do you have it? What does it do? How does it work? How would you answer this question?
In the case of Headless, I can't really give you an answer because every system is different. So every Headless LMS provider will have different types of reports. I can only tell you how it looks in case of Whelms. So in case of Whelms, we can integrate our system with Learning Record Store, which will record all the activity learners will perform within our platform. And then prepare custom reports for the client. So basically, all the reporting is prepared differently for every client and for every implementation. It's also custom.
Yes, but it's good to know, worth pointing out that an LRS, inbuilt LRS is possible, that such a learning record store could do magic tricks, and you could be aware of any movement made inside the platform by your users. Really, like any click, any route a given user has made, yeah, you can track it all. So it's worth pointing that out. One more thing, and we're gonna be finishing, Kate, because time is of essence now. What about? I'm thinking. I had quite a few, I would say, more questions, but what would be the last one? The last one would be like, let's say, roles. Let's say roles. Like before the weekend, like last week, I was asked about a possible client, maybe another expert on LMS platforms. Piotr, can you do like more roles than you have already within the platform? Because most of platforms have like these three types of roles, like admins, tutors, and students, basically. And I was asked, Piotr, can you do more? Can you give us more? Can you give us something extra and something like very tailor-made?
Okay, so I will start my answer the same way as the previous one, meaning that every headless LMS provider will have solved this issue in a totally different way. But in general, in case of regular LMS systems, it's true there are usually 3 up to 4, maybe 5 roles to choose from when you try to import users. Whelms, in comparison, was created as a tool for developers to create different types of LMSs and implement them in a different way. Thus, it gives bigger, greater possibilities. So in the case of Whelms, you can create any number of roles and give each of these roles slightly different privileges. So you can have 10 different types of admins, for example, and 6 different types of learners, depending on what you need. I know that this feature is often sought by clients who take part in different types of European projects and are required, and for example, want to allow access to their platform to some external parties, but still they want to keep certain areas of the platforms to themselves.
Thanks, Kate. I would love to continue talking, but we are past 59 minutes already. We have 1 hour only. So, summing up, correct me if I'm missing something or if I'm wrong. Headless element solutions are very good for institutions and organizations, companies who need a tailor-made solution, right? We can have customizable backend here. We can make customizable front end or multiple front ends. We can have our materials, training materials, displayed on basically any type of device, right? And hence, the whole structure is based on the Mac approach, on microservices. We can make it like with Lego bricks. We can build, start small, build upon it, make it bigger, add new microservices, new modules, new features. What would you add, Kate?
I would add my favorite. I could have not really add, but underline what you already said. So this multi-channel distribution, being able to use different types of devices interchangeably, because we're not only talking about using an LMS dedicated just to one untypical device. Such initiatives already exist. We're talking about jumping from one device to another and continuing with the course.
Okay. Okay. So thank you for being with us. Thank you for asking questions. Thank you, Tom, for your questions. Please note that we have a very fresh ebook on e-learning technologies. It's like it was published like a week ago, I guess. So it's still very fresh. Please go to ebook.whelms.io and download it. Make sure you do it after this webinar. And please visit also our website, whelms.io. You will have like detailed information on headless technology, this type of solutions. And please reach out to me, reach out to Kate. We're here to assist and answer your questions. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be here with you. Thank you, Kate. More than a pleasure. Words can express my gratitude that you came to this webinar. Thank you, Kate.
Thank you.